We are the architects of coliseums, the navigators of black holes, and the cartographers of the ocean floor. For millennia, the human species has been obsessed with the external conquest. We map the veins of gold deep within the earth. We decode the languages of ancient civilizations long turned to dust. We build telescopes to peer into the rooms of stars billions of light years away. We are masters of the out there. We have become gods of the material realm, capable of splitting the atom and gene, editing the code of life itself. And yet, despite this staggering accumulation of power and knowledge, we remain illiterate in the only language that truly matters. There is a terrifying irony at the heart of the human condition. We know the temperature of the sun, but we do not know the source of our own anger. We can navigate the globe, but we get lost in the dark corridors of our own anxiety. We are strangers to the one thing that dictates the color, texture, and quality of every single second of our existence: the mind. 2,500 years ago, before the first microscope or telescope was ever conceived, a prince who traded his crown for a begging bowl sat beneath a Bodhi tree and cracked the code of human suffering. The Buddha did not begin his teachings with theology or mythology. He began with a statement of absolute, piercing psychological law. The first verse of the Dhammapada strikes like a diamond thunderbolt. Mind precedes all mental states. Mind is their chief, they are all mind. Wrought. Let that sink in. It is not a poetic metaphor. It is the mechanics of your reality. The world you see is not the world as it exists. It is the world as you are. Every flash of jealousy, every tidal wave of grief, every sunburst of joy, every suffocating fog of confusion, these are not things that happen to you. They are things birthed by you. The mind is the projector, the world is merely the screen. Your anxiety is not a product of your job. Your job is the canvas upon which your mind paints its anxiety. Your peace is not found in a quiet valley. The valley is merely the mirror reflecting the silence of your own consciousness. Nothing exists for you independently of the mind that perceives it. And yet, be honest with yourself. How often have you actually stared into this abyss? How much time have you spent observing the projector instead of getting lost in the movie? For the vast majority of us, the answer is zero. We are sleepwalkers. We inhabit these bodies, living intimately with our minds for 70, 80, maybe 90 years. Yet we have never formally introduced ourselves to the entity behind the eyes. We are like the inheritors of a sprawling, ancient mansion who have spent their entire lives sleeping on the front porch. Terrified to turn the handle of the front door, we assume the house is haunted, or perhaps we are simply too distracted by the streetlights outside to care what lies within. So we live on the surface, skating over the thin ice of existence. The body is present, sitting in a chair, but the mind is a time traveler, lost in a phantom dimension. You sit in a boardroom, but your mind is litigating a fight from 3 years ago, sharpening insults you never said. You are eating dinner with your children, but your mind is already living in the catastrophe of next month, says financial report. You lie in bed, surrounded by safety and silence, but your mind is fighting a war in a burning city of its own making. We are nowhere. We are never here. We are ghosts haunting our own lives. You might think this wandering is harmless, just the background static of being human. But there is a price to be paid for this ignorance, and the currency is your life. When you refuse to look inward, You hand the keys of your kingdom over to shadows. You become a puppet controlled by invisible strings. Consider the man who carries a deep, subterranean fear of abandonment. This fear does not knock on the door and introduce itself. It does not say, "Greetings, I am your childhood trauma, and I will now sabotage your marriage." It is far more insidious. It operates in the dark. It disguises itself as jealousy. It masquerades as high standards. It whispers that you need to check your partner's phone, or that you should leave before you get left. It runs the operating system of your life from a hidden server room, shaping your choices, ruining your connections, and leaving you alone, all while you blame the world for your misfortune. Or consider the woman who spends decades climbing the corporate ladder, accumulating accolades like armor. She believes she is driven by ambition, but if she were to open the door to the inner room, she might find a weeping child who believes she is unworthy of love unless she is perfect. She doesn't see the belief, "I am not enough." She only feels the exhaustion of the treadmill. This is the tragedy of being a stranger to yourself. It is not that you don't know your favorite color or your political stance. It is that you do not see the currents, the riptides, and the monsters beneath the surface that are actually steering the ship. So, how do we break the spell? The modern world screams its solutions from the rooftops. Buy a new car, change your zip code, swipe right on a new partner, get a promotion, renovate the kitchen. We treat the soul like a construction project. But have you noticed the recurring nightmare? You change the scenery, but the play remains the same. You fly to a paradise island, and within 3 days, the same anxiety you felt in the office is now sitting next to you on the beach, sipping a cocktail. The scenery changes, the suffering persists. That is because the problem isn't the furniture. The problem is the lens through which you see the room. The source is in here. There is a door you have kept locked. It is the door that leads inward, past the foyer of polite conversation, down into the engine room of the psyche. The Buddha's path, the path of the diamond vehicle, begins with the courage to turn that handle. It does not require you to shave your head or chant in a dead language. It does not ask for blind faith. It asks for something much harder, radical, unflinching observation. It asks you to stop thinking about your life and start seeing it. What is actually happening in this mind right now? What is this texture of this thought? What is the temperature of this emotion? What patterns are looping like a broken record? This is not an intellectual analysis. It is a shift in gravity. You turn your attention away from the mesmerizing acts of the world and rotate the camera 180 degrees back toward the viewer. This is the first step. It is simple, deceptively so, but it is the hardest thing you will ever do. Why? Because looking inward feels unnatural. It feels dangerous. It feels like staring into the sun. We are addicted to the external because the internal is where the dragons live. But the moment you hold your ground, the moment you refuse to look away, a profound truth reveals itself. It is a truth that shatters the illusion of solidity. Nothing stays. Watch your mind with the precision of a hawk for just 60 seconds. What do you see? You see a storm of fragmentation. A thought arises, I need coffee, and it feels urgent, solid, real. Then, poof, it dissolves like smoke. Another takes its place, I forgot to call mom. Then that too crumbles. An emotion rises, anger, hot and red, tightening the chest, clenching the jaw. It feels like a granite boulder. It feels like me. But watch it. Don't feed it. Don't fight it. Just watch it. It vibrates, it shifts, it loses its density, it unravels. Joy arises, sweet and light. You want to capture it, put it in a jar, and keep it forever. But it is not a pet, it is a breeze. It blows through the window and is gone. The mind is not a stone monument. It is a raging river. It is a kaleidoscope of quantum fluctuations. It is a process, not a thing. The you of 5 minutes ago is dead. The you of right now is dying. This realization, this impermanence, or Anicca, is not a depressing philosophy. It is the greatest news you could possibly hear. It is your liberation. If your mind were solid, your depression would be a life sentence. If your anxiety were a permanent structure, you would be trapped in a concrete bunker forever. But because the mind is a river, the water can be purified. The current changes. No storm lasts forever. No winter is eternal. This is not optimism, it is physics. Now, the novice ego sees this and immediately tries to weaponize it. The ego says, okay, I see the anger passing, so I will force it to pass faster. I will grab the joy and chain it to the floor. This is the trap. This is just more craving, more aversion, more struggle. The Buddha in the Satipaṭṭhāna Sutta gave an instruction so subtle it is easily missed. He did not say fix the anger. He said when the mind has anger, one knows the mind has anger. There is no judgment here. There is no moralizing. There is no I shouldn't feel this. There is only the diamond, sharp clarity of knowing. This is the difference between being swept away by a flood and standing on the riverbank watching the water rush by. When you are the anger, you are possessed. The demon speaks through your mouth. You burn bridges you spent years building. You wake up later and say, I wasn't myself. But when you know the anger, a gap up opens up, a sacred pause. In that microsecond between the trigger and the reaction, you step out of the matrix. You feel the heat. You hear the screaming of the ego, but you are the witness. You are the sky, and the anger is just a cloud passing through. The sky does not fight the cloud. The sky allows the cloud, knowing the cloud cannot harm it. In that gap lies your freedom. This leads us to the most radical discovery of all. The Buddha pointed out that greed, hatred, and delusion are not the structural beams of your house. They are mud thrown on a diamond. They are visitors. Imagine your mind is a guest house. Every day, new arrivals show up. Some are beautiful compassion, inspiration, love. Some are filthy jealousy, rage, despair. But guests are not the host. Guests come, they make a mess, they leave. The house remains. If you were fundamentally, intrinsically angry, you could never be peaceful. Fire cannot be cold, but you can be peaceful. Therefore, anger is not you. Fear is not you. They are weather patterns passing through the vast atmosphere of your consciousness. And this triggers the ultimate question, the question that dissolves the world if the thoughts come and go, if the emotions rise and fall. Well, then who is watching them? Who are you? The Buddha deconstructed the human being like a mechanic dismantling a chariot. He looked for the self, the pilot, the homunculus, the solid golden soul inside. He looked at the body. It's a biological machine that ages and sickens without your permission, not self. He looked at feelings, chemical reactions to stimuli, not self. He looked at perceptions, mental formations, consciousness itself. He found no captain. He found only the ship sailing itself. He discovered that what we call I is a grammatical convenience, a phantom created by the rapid firing of these 5 processes. It is like a flame passed from candle to candle. It looks like one continuous thing, but it is a constant rebirth of energy. This sounds terrifying to the ego. If I am not real, then I don't matter. But to the spirit, it is the ultimate relief. The burden of maintaining the self, the burden of defending your image, asserting your importance, protecting your fragile ego can be put down. You don't have to defend a fortress that doesn't exist. You become transparent. The arrow of an insult passes right through you because there is no solid ego to hit. You become lighter. You become dangerous to the system of control because you cannot be manipulated by fear or greed. This path does not lead to a cold, robotic detachment. It leads to the heart of the sun. When you realize that your own suffering is created by this mechanism of attachment and identification, you look around and see the same mechanism crushing everyone else. You see the tyrant at work not as a villain, but as a man possessed by the demons of his own insecurity. You see the angry driver not as an enemy, but as a consciousness trapped in a fever dream of stress. The illusion of separation dissolves. The boundary between me and you softens. You realize we are all waves in the same ocean, all struggling to keep our heads above water. Compassion is no longer a moral duty. It is a natural resonance. You don't try to be kind, you are kindness, because hurting another would be like left hand cutting off your right hand. So, where do you begin this journey to the center of the self? You do not need a temple. You do not need incense. You do not need to retreat to a cave in the Himalayas. You begin here, in the chaos of the traffic jam, in the silence of the elevator, in the heat of the argument. You simply pause. You turn the light around. You ask, what is happening inside me right now? You watch the baratam arising. You watch the urge to check your phone. You watch the tension in your shoulders. You do not judge it. You do not fix it. You act as the silent witness. Be an island unto yourself. The world is a storm of confusion, a churning sea of endless desires and fears. Do not look for a savior in the waves. Build your foundation on the bedrock of your own awareness. The mind is the lock. The mind is the key, and the door is waiting. Are you brave enough to open it?